All right, so today we're looking at the Miniature Monday kit for March of 2020. This is put out by Reaper, and it is to go along with a paint along that they do every Monday. So, what is in the kit? The kit comes with 8 paints and 4 miniatures. So we have the Spider Demoness that we'll have to put together this month, and Serena, which is the metal mini for the month. They try and include 1 metal miniature every month. A giant spider miniature, and 2 of the 3 fungaloids. So the kit on the website actually comes with 3 miniatures instead of 2, but in this they've only included 2. And then the paints that are in this month is Rosy Shadow, Burgundy Wine, Amethyst Purple, kind of a nice mid purple, Jungle Moss, dark green, Magma Red, a Tarnished Copper, Clear Red, and Alien Goo. So with the paints, you always want to make sure you shake them up real good. And then I like to put 1 drop of paint on the lid just so I know what the actual color looks like. Fortunately, Reaper uses white lids, makes it nice and easy. All right, so those are all done. And then they use a standard palette of Noir Black, Intense Brown, Stone Gray, and Linen White. They also use a color called Hone Steel and Ancient Gold, Age Gold, but I actually use 2 Vallejo Game Air colors typically for the gold. All right, so if you buy all of this individually, the paints and the minis would cost you $49.82, plus you do get a case. At some point, I'm hoping Reaper has a recycling program or something. You can send the cases back and get a credit or something, because I think I have 4 or 5 of their cases, and I'm running out of room for them. So the next thing that I like to do is to clean the flash lines. So anytime you mold a mini, you are going to get some flashing around where the molds meet. I use a nice sharp hobby knife and then just scrape right along those lines. Here it blends into the hat pretty well. But on the smooth surfaces here of the head, they do stand out quite a bit. So those all need to be cleaned off. With the metal minis, it's the same process. I just scrape the knife along the edge there and kind of shave it down. A lot of times on the bases, I'll actually sand them so that they sit flat. Sometimes the flashing on the bottom will make them so they don't sit flat. This one's pretty good. I don't see much on it. So I'll go ahead and finish those up and then come back for putting the spider demoness together. Alright, so I have all the flashing cleaned off. The next thing I like to do is I always wash my minis, make sure there isn't any mold release compound or anything on it. That makes it difficult. This time, instead of simple green that I normally use, I'm using a little bit of purple power. So I just drop the minis in there and swish it around. Make sure all of it gets cleaned off, and then I will rinse them off in the sink and dry them. Alright, so we have all our pieces washed and dried off, and I'm going to use some Bob Smith Industries extra thick super glue and some Instaset to get this done quickly. So I think I will start by gluing the back end together. And a lot of times what I do is I'll just put a little glue on the piece. And then on the opposite piece, I will put the Instaset. There's a notch here, and there's a peg there, so that it'll only go together one way. So we get that together, and it's nice with the Instaset. I only have to hold it for about 10 seconds. Alright, so we will glue the princess onto the base. Same thing, a little bit of glue in there. And a little bit of Instaset on the peg. And again, we'll hold that together for about 10 seconds. Alright, and then the final piece, we have a peg here, and we have the base here. A little bit of glue in there. And a little bit of Instaset here. And again, this is keyed. There's a little cutout in the peg so that this will only fit one way. We'll hold it for about 10 seconds. And then that is set up. There's a little bit of a crack around here. So I think what I'll do is take my X-Acto knife and shave that down so it's as flush as I can, and then fill in where I need to. I don't find that the bones material sands super well. It tends to get kind of fuzzy, so I avoid sanding it if I can. Again, I'm just using the flat of the blade and scraping it along. I'm not actually cutting into it. Then when I got that fairly flattened out, I'm going to take a little bit of my Vallejo plastic putty. And we'll just smooth that out a little bit. And the goal is to leave enough there that it fills in the crack, and once we get it primed and painted, hopefully it won't look like two different pieces. I think in a situation like this, I do have green stuff, but this is much easier because it's so much liquidier. It just goes right in. I probably should have done this before I glued it together. I'm gonna end up missing some of it back behind here, but then on the bright side you don't really see that anyways. So all right, there we go. So I gotta let this dry for a little bit, and then we will prime them up real quick. So as usual, I'm going to speed this up and make this go a lot quicker, but I'm going to do a Zenithal prime on this, so I'm priming the whole mini in black. With the spiders ones, I found it was easiest to prime the bottom, and then I can go ahead and prime the other miniatures, and by the time I get back to the spiders, they're dry enough to touch where I'm not messing anything up. So I go ahead and prime this all, and then I'll come back after I've cleaned the airbrush out real good with some white primer. I was actually struggling a little bit to get the primer to go on here. My airbrush was a little bit clogged up, so I did take a second and clean it out real good before I switched over to white. So here you can just see I'm going back to the Demoness and the other spider to get the other side. And here I've switched over to white. I just spray down mostly directly from the top, and then I'll angle it a little bit to get the sides and whatnot a little better. And this hopefully will show through when I go and paint, and it'll help me get all the shading right. So thank you for watching.